What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Naoya, Inoue, Gervonta Tank Davis. Get this, promoter of Inoue, Bob Arum, breaks silence on calls for the Gervonta Tank Davis catch-weight fight. Bob said this, he says, I mean, it's wonderful, but at this particular point, it's a 122-pound guy against a 140-pound guy, okay? He says Inoue is great with guys his own size or guys a little bigger, but at some particular point, the size really matters. That's why they have these classifications for. Bob confirmed also, he said, you just look at Inoue and you realize what a great fighter he is, plus a tremendous puncher, so we're gonna have fun with him. I guess his next fight is gonna be against Filipino Tapales, who has 2 titles. As for Tank, fucking forget about it. I'm paraphrasing, guys, but seriously, my counterpunch is that's exactly what Bob Arum's saying. Forget about it. You know, 122-pounder compared to a guy, you know, maybe the same height, but definitely not the same size. Okay, Gervonta Tank Davis fighting Inoue would be worse than the matchup between himself and Leo Santa Cruz. Now, it's a lose-lose situation for Tank. See, if Tank goes down there, if they could get that fight done, which they won't, because Bob just really pretty much confirmed it, but let's say they could. Well, if Tank knocks out Inoue, would we all be surprised because of the size? You know, like, let's really look at what we're dealing with and what we're looking at. Okay, we're not looking at Manny Pacquiao and Oscar De La Hoya. We're not even looking at it like that, because De La Hoya came up, Pacquiao came up to each weight class. You know what I mean? He came up gradually. He didn't just jump from 122 on all the way up there. No, it was levels to this. Okay, just the way with Floyd pissed and moaned how Manny Pacquiao got there, Floyd also got there. You know, so they had to gradually work themselves up to get where they needed to be weight-wise. But to jump up there like that against somebody that is 140, it makes you wonder at what point, you know, since Gervonta Tank Davis is known for, like, rehydration clauses like him and his good buddy Canelo, it makes you think, like, if the fight could be made, should Inoue demand that? You know what I mean? But then again, who says that he's in a position to be in any demands anyway? You know, I think this is all a Floyd Mayweather attempt to do or to live through Gervonta Tank Davis, because that's exactly what he wanted to do with his career. He wanted to fight the smaller guys so he can be the bigger fish in the pond versus him smaller fighting bigger guys. Okay, because Floyd knew and he wanted those fights with Prince Asim Ahmed. See, Floyd didn't really shine people. Give you guys a history lesson about Floyd. Money Mayweather, or Pretty Boy turning into money. What happened with Floyd? Okay, Floyd didn't get the opportunity that he felt with Bob Arum. I don't think Bob Arum promoted Floyd, Money Mayweather, like he should have. Despite the wins, despite the knockouts, despite the performances, Bob didn't really do that. Bob had other people that he could promote, and he had a lot of people that he promoted. Okay, he promoted a gang of people. You know, he had Oscar De La Hoya, you know, he had Eric Morales, you know, he had so many of these guys, you know, Marco Antonio Barrera at one point, you know, and these guys were there. You also had Sugar Shane Mosley, and then Roy Jones, and, you know, then Trinidad, and, you know, Vargas. You had so many of these guys, okay, that were overshadowing Floyd. Floyd didn't have that fighter that they could, you know, that he could clash with. He couldn't get the Morales fight. He couldn't get the Barrera fight. He couldn't get the Prince Asim Ahmed fight. He fought Marquez. Marquez proved himself worthy by putting a short damper to, or being an axis to, Manny Pacquiao. Okay, ultimately knocking him out December 8th of 2012. Okay, so he deemed to be that true rival of Manny. But other than that, Floyd didn't have any of those guys. Floyd just was a guy that moved up and up and up and up, and he really didn't get the recognition until he fought Arturo Thunder Gotti. And we all seen how that fight was. It was a shutout, okay? And even then, he really didn't get recognized as that. You know, he didn't really get recognized until he really fought Oscar De La Hoya. You know, and Oscar De La Hoya passed him the torch, but then he had another torch for Manny Pacquiao because Manny Pacquiao fought him a year later, which Mayweather's supposed to fought De La Hoya, but he retired instead. So De La Hoya went on to fight Manny Pacquiao, and then Manny Pacquiao retired Oscar De La Hoya. Why am I saying this? I'm saying what Floyd wanted to do, okay, saying all that to say this. He wants Gervonta Tank Davis to do what he wanted to do when he was that size. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Because Gervonta is a great talent. He's powerful, but it's easier for him to be marketed, and it's safer for him to be marketed fighting guys smaller, because as soon as you hit a smaller guy, yeah, you can take him out. You see what he did to Leo Santa Cruz? That shit was graphic. It was graphic. It was graphic. He hit him. I mean, in Leo Santa Cruz, you know what I mean? And he was teeing off on Gervonta. And Gervonta just, you know, took his time, took his punches, ate his punches like Whopper Jr.'s, and then set up the shot and put him to sleep. Okay? And Floyd seen that. Look, and he seen that, and he saw what he wanted in his projections for Gervonta Tank Davis, and we can clearly see that when he brought up the fact of beating at a catch weight and then mentioning blood and urine tests. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Bob Arum responding to the idea of Inoue taking on Gervonta Tank Davis at a catch weight. No way, no how. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunching. Peace.